But before we get back to Rob and to LME, I want to hear from Erik ten Hag as we begin our preview of the Premier League this weekend with Manchester United against Spurs at Old Trafford on Sunday. Now, Casemiro's back training, Martinez is back training, and so is Luke Shaw. But could any of them start? Erik ten Hag will tell us.
This week in the training, so last couple of days, were Martinez training, Casemiro training, Luke Shaw training. So yeah, there are players returning, and yeah, they are coming in for selection for Sunday. So Eriksen was ill in the week; he will return. Anthony will return. I thought you mentioned longer terms and unexpected, but they will return as well. So Ahmad will return. So yeah, we have more choices in this moment in the squad to make to put out a start 11 and to create a bench stronger.
Okay, Rob, you were at Ten Hag's press conference. What's the mood in the camp?
More positive, I would say, than it has been the last couple of weeks. Not necessarily because of results or performances, but the injury list clearing is a big thing. You know, you've got Ten Hag there talking about Casemiro and Martinez and Shaw. They're three massive players. I mean, Martinez hasn't played since September. Casemiro hasn't played since the 1st of November. They're two massive players that have been taken out of the dressing room. There are still injury problems. There's no Maguire, there's no Mount, Lindelof, Marshall. None of them will be available to play Spurs on Sunday. But there is just that sense maybe now that this long injury list that has affected their entire season so far is just starting to clear. You know, maybe Sunday and Spurs will come a bit early for some of them. But there is that sense now that the injury list is starting to get a bit more manageable, and maybe, you know, when you get these players back, that the results will pick up.
LME, what on earth can we expect in this game? Because the last time Spurs won there, Man United took the lead back in 2020 and then conceded 6. Any result is possible in this one, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a tricky one, MD, because we're talking about a match that's coming in a very tricky January month where, you know, we've just gone after a grueling December period with 7 or 8 matches, of course. And as Rob was mentioning, players are coming back from injury. And that's just not from Manchester United's perspective. I mean, when you look at Tottenham, of course, Heung-min Son is out for Asia Cup. James Maddison remains on the sidelines. But right now, Tottenham are probably feeling very, very confident. I think that right now they're winning the January transfer window. Obviously, it's early days. It's the first one from Jong and Lange, the director who left Aston Villa, joined Tottenham. Of course, we know about Timo Werner and what he can do on loan from RB Leipzig. I think he's going to start straight away. So Richarlison in the middle and Brennan Johnson on the other side. So, you know, there's already action going on. And Dragusin, who's a very physical, very strong 21-year-old centre-back, Romanian centre-back. So they're already adding pieces and people are coming back. So just like United expecting players to come back from injury, the same is going on with Tottenham. But like you said, this is a very difficult one to predict for a few reasons. One of them being philosophy, actually, because, you know, Postecoglou's all-out aggressive system, you know, will be an interesting recipe against Erik ten Hag's counter-attacking plan. So I don't dare just yet at the beginning of this show tell you a scoreline, but I expect goals for sure, because even though players are coming back, there's still vulnerabilities on both sides.
Was there not a song, Rob? A great philosopher once said, naughty, naughty, very naughty, or will we not go down that route? So with players coming back, Romero's back for Spurs, Van de Ven's back for Spurs, as LME was mentioned. Dragusin was a good signing as well. And Timo Werner, he's getting his business done nice and early. So LME thinks that Werner will start. Do you?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, they've done it early enough in the week that Werner's come in and had at least a couple of training sessions, which is obviously key for a manager. You can't just sign someone and throw them straight in. They do need to be around their teammates. It seems like Werner's had that opportunity this week, which is good news for Spurs. You know, obviously there's a lot of talk in England about whether Werner's going to be a good signing or not. Lots of people want to refer back to his goal scoring record at Chelsea, which was you know, wasn't necessarily prolific. I think, you know, 23 goals in 89 games for Chelsea, so not a prolific goal scorer. But the one thing that Werner does have is pace. And if you're a Man United player prepping for this game on Sunday, you don't really want Werner in that team because defenders hate attackers with pace. They want attackers who are going to do everything in front of them. The type of which, if you were Johnny Evans, say, or Rafa Varane looking at this game, you'd be quite happy with maybe Richarlison. What you don't want is players like Johnson and Werner disappearing over your shoulder in the massive space behind, because that's when defenders start to get really worried. So, as far as United go, I think that they probably don't want to see Timo Werner in that starting 11. I think that Spurs fans have got every right to be relatively excited about the signing of Timo Werner. You listen to Postecoglou today, and he talks about a player who is going to fit very well into his system, suits the style of play that they want to achieve. I think this might end up being quite a good fit for Werner and Spurs.
LME, what about Werner and his traits?
Yeah, I wanted to add a little bit from what Rob was talking about, specifically his time at Chelsea. It's correct that it's 23 goals in 89, but there were also 21 assists as well. So, it's not a totally, disastrous experience with Chelsea, but he's right. Like, obviously, Chelsea were relying on him for goals that did not happen, etc. But I think that for Tottenham, there are two key things that are going to be really important for Postecoglou as he's welcomed Werner. And there's a reason why he's there. This isn't just like a surprising, shocking decision. Oh, we need somebody quick. Oh, Werner, maybe. No, this was a careful plan. And one of the reasons is he's going to be on the left wing, on the left side of Richarlison when he comes on. So not everything in terms of goals are going to be relied on him. The Postecoglou system wants you to be a collective, aggressive unit. So that's one given. Rob also talked, and I agree, like he's got high pace, he's energetic, he's aggressive. He fits and ticks all the boxes of what Postecoglou wants. Now, the other component is what are the negatives? He's not as physical. He won't be that good in the air, of course, but he's going to give you 110% of everything. And that's exactly what you need, especially in the time when Son isn't there, James Maddison isn't there. So I think this is a good move. It all depends on how to utilize him and to not have all the arrows pointing at him, trying to get him to score the goals. If that is not an issue and it can be collectively shared, then this is a very, very good purchase. And by the way, Werner has a lot to prove, MD, because this is on loan option. Right? So he's probably going to say, I'm coming back to the Premier League and I want to show that it wasn't just about my time at Chelsea.
I just like the fact that Postecoglou's getting his business done nice and early. He's seen what he needs and he's gone and he's got it done, or he's got people to go and do it for him. By the way, taking you back to mid-August when Spurs beat Man United by 2-0. This is them looking to do the league double over United for the first time since Stevie Nicol was playing way back in 1989, 1990. Rob, when you look at Spurs and you saw the start that they got off to, I mean, they were like the fastest greyhound out of the traps. And then they had some injuries and Maddison went down and defensively it became a bit of a problem. And they probably are now where a lot of fans would hope that they were. The expectation level, though, increased exponentially during that start of the season. So as LME and you were both talking about, with Spurs having players coming back, after Son gets back from the Asian Cup as well, can we put them in the title race, or would we just say, let's calm this down, and if they could get a top 4 spot right now, they'd be happy?
Yeah, I think they're probably a little bit short as they are right now. I think it's a huge, not a bonus is the wrong word, a benefit to them that they're not going to play European football. Yeah. In the second half of the season, you're going to have the likes of City and Liverpool, Arsenal, all going to be engaged in European competition, playing 3 times in a week, whereas Spurs are going to be playing, every weekend. They're going to have time on the training pitch and time to rest and recover, which is huge in the second half of the season when other players are getting a little bit tired. That said, I still see them as a tier below those top 3 sides, that if they can challenge for the top 4, get into the Champions League next season, I think that would be a massive success for Postecoglou in his first campaign. Obviously, they would like to do better. There is an opportunity there for to go on a winning run. Maybe when you get Maddison back, maybe when Son comes back from the Asian Cup and they're right in and amongst those teams, maybe there's an opportunity then to push on and maybe cause those teams above them a little bit of a problem. Right now, I think that if you offered Postecoglou a top 4 finish and we call the season quits, I think he takes it.
I agree. Just before we get to predictions, one quick question I want to ask you about Erik ten Hag. And we speak every week about his future. I want to take this down a slightly different angle for a second. And with the new 25% stakeholder in the club, if Manchester United signs someone in this January transfer window while Ten Hag's still at the football club, is that then basically saying, you're our guy, you're the one we want to take this player and put him in your team? And can we read it like that, rather than if they don't sign anybody, he might not be sticking around?
I think if they were to sign someone permanently, I think you could make that argument.
Okay.
I don't think they will sign anyone permanently. I think that if they do sign anyone, it may be the odd loan signing to get him through to the end of the season. I think at the moment what you're seeing is essentially Erik ten Hag is on trial. You know, that there is two things that managers will cost manager his job, and that's poor results or new owners coming in and wanting their own man. And essentially, Ten Hag is dealing with both of those things at the same time. Now, Ineos and Radcliffe have kind of have given the impression that you know they're relatively happy with Ten Hag at the moment, and that while we're in this sort of transition period before their state gets officially ratified, that Ten Hag will be allowed the time to show that he is the right man for the job. Now, if results aren't going to pick up, and Radcliffe goes away and decides that he wants his own man, then obviously Ten Hag is very, very vulnerable. I think that we're in a situation now where Ten Hag is probably going to get between now and the end of the season to show why he should stay in this job. Yeah. If it was to go completely pear-shaped and the season was just to combust, you know, and they stink down the table, they get knocked out of the FA Cup, I think we could be looking at a case where United are looking for a new manager in the summer. If, though, we can turn things around, if these players coming back, that you see a massive improvement in form, I think maybe that he gets next summer's transfer window and he gets next season. So we'll just have to wait and see. We're talking about a really, really critical period for Ten Hag now.
Prediction time. Rob, you first. Man United Spurs.
I agree with LME. Lots of goals. I can't necessarily see a winner, so I think 2-2. Okay.
Luis Miguel?
That's exactly where I was going. I think it's going to be cool.
I think
both sides are welcoming players back. Everything is good, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game with a lot of mistakes. 2-0 as well.